safe to start again.
Okay, we're back online
No,
here.
you're not. You gotta give it like 10 seconds or so.
10 seconds?
Yeah, because until this says you're streaming, you're not.
Okay.
It says starting.
So you basically just wait.
And it says we are live.
Alright guys, we're live. Questions, your guys' questions and answers here from Pacific Coast Auto. This is
the browser window.
This is car exporting and auction agent. And if you want to do personal questions for me, then you're free to do that too if you want. When I used to do these question casts, there were a lot of personal questions, like what's it like living in Japan, what's it like starting a company, that sort of thing. So feel free to have questions like that. And we'll just jump into it. Also, if you guys want to look at specific cars at auction, then you can do that too. We'll be picking some of your guys' picks, and I can do the translation for you of the cars from auction. So just put in a random number here, and we got a Nissan Note. And so hopefully you guys can pick better picks than that. One thing though is don't pick USS cars because we can't show those on screen, because USS is such nice people that I don't want to say anything mean to them. So let's start off with some of your questions. I got the first one here. I'm going to pick the very first comment just because somebody came in to make that comment super early, and so they deserve to have one of theirs read. And he says, I have first question, what about only for export auction repairable cars? Okay, so you can buy broken cars in Japan if you want. Can you pass me my water? But for the most part, it costs more money to export those than just poor condition cars. If the price is right for you, then you can do it, but we don't do it very often because of the extra costs, and there is a higher chance of getting surprise costs as well, because if a car is broken but it still drives, then it's one cost, but if it can't drive, that's another cost. Or if it starts leaking coolant or it starts heavily leaking oil, then it can't be exported. And so there's a big possibility of surprise costs. And if it's, you can't put it in a container. Let me just rephrase that. If you're shipping a broken car, it has to be shipped by container, and so you should put in 4 cars into the one container, or 5 if you can fit them in there. And then if you're shipping by container, there can be no leaks of any fluids. And so for most people, it's not that good of a deal. We only ship like 1 broken car a month or so, compared to maybe about 40 cars per month of regular cars. So yeah, not that big of a business thing, but a lot of people are interested in it, so it's a good question to answer. Okay, Tots in Transit says, when is the next auction? Auctions are every day of the week, 6 days a week except for Sunday, and each auction is weekly. So USS Tokyo is every Thursday, USS Yokohama is every Tuesday, that sort of thing. Levon Finjap. I'm 14. I have varying interests in mechanics. I have a couple of questions. I wanted to get a Vespa. Okay. I think cool scooters. 1969 Vespa with 150cc when I'm older. It's from an anime called Fooly Cooly. Okay, shout out to anyone who knows Fooly Cooly. I don't know what it is.
I know it.
Andrew knows it. Is it cool?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Very bizarre.
Fooly Cooly is bizarre and cool, and so this is a little bit low. Let's what can we do? There we go. And then he says he also likes motocompos. Better get one of those quickly, because motocompos are super, they're expensive now, and then they're going up in price. Motocompo is that one that, if you don't know about it, go quickly Google it. It is the foldable bike. So it's a motorcycle that handlebars fold in and seat folds down, and then you pick it up. It's 49 kilograms, and you put it in the back of your car, and then you go somewhere, and then you motocompo away, and it's super rad. And so he likes those. Andrew says something. So Andrew's on the chat now. I was thinking last week that I should probably at the beginning of the stream announce that it's the 2 of us on stream. So Andrew's here unless we get a car pickup or a car delivery or something. He's going to be in the chat answering questions as well. And so watch out for him. Every time it says Pacific Coast Auto, that's going to be Andrew. Okay, Ioanni is online. Thank you for coming again. I think you haven't missed one of the streams. V. Gannon, same here. I'm stuffing my face really quick. Haha. Okay, that's cool. What else do we got? Ooh, party time. Hey, hi, Derek. Yes. What is your experience with 510s? Okay, that's a question from Super Zed. What is your experience with 510s? I don't have a lot of experience with them. I think that they're super rad cars. They're from the 60s. They're Japanese 60s cars. Inline 4-cylinder, side draft carbs from stock for the SSS model. 2000cc. Really cool styling. I've always liked the styling of them, but I don't really know too much about them as a compared to other cars. I see Sean Tennant on here. Sean's my boy. Thank you for coming in, Sean. A special shout out for you for sticking with me through the hard times. And you know what I'm talking about, Sean. He says, yes. And I agree. That is yes. 10-second delay. That sucks. That's from Wafkato. There is a way to do a smaller delay, but it prevents anyone from rewinding in the stream. And so I'm not sure. I would like to hear what you guys think about this, but if we do the 10-second, you can start from the beginning and you can watch the whole thing while it's streaming. If you have only a 2-second latency, then you can't do that. But at the end of the stream, it will go online and then you can see the whole stream in its entirety after the fact. And so I'd like to know what people think about that. Maybe Andrew can keep tabs on that when people answer. But I kind of like when I watch a streaming thing on YouTube, I like to go back to the very beginning to see the entire stream. But if you do that, you can't chat in lives. And so I believe that most people who come in are going to be watching it live and chatting. And so feel free to chat, even if you think that you're going to say something dumb. I know usually when I go onto live streams, I don't say anything. I just kind of watch. But I do like reading the chat. Levon says, hello, Derek. Derek, will you ever play the tapes you found in the back of the Honda City? That is a great idea. I forgot about those. And I know it seems like I forgot about the City, but...
Those VHS?
No, they're audio tapes.
Oh.
But they're like they're not like ones that you would buy at a store. They were recorded by somebody, and so somebody's mixtape. Mixtape from the 80s. And the car's a 1983 car, so they could, and it looks like it's been sitting for like at least 15 years. And so it should be really old, pretty funny music. How awesome would that be if it was Eurobeat in there? Like original Eurobeat. Okay, someone says nice haircut. My wife did it, and then I fixed some parts afterwards. Usually she's really good at cutting hair, but I think that I kept telling her to cut it shorter because my hair gets Naoko just looks at me. Did Derek get a haircut? I haven't looked at him at all this morning. I actually came in here. I was kind of bummed out because nobody in the office here said anything about my haircut. I was ready to go bald for tomorrow. I'm glad that Naoko just if I was bald, somebody would have noticed it and then said something, and that's what I'm looking for. It's the reason I cut my hair. Okay, how does it work if I want to import a motorcycle from Levon? It depends on your country. Typically, we don't want to deal with motorcycles though because they're way more complicated than a car to export. And because we don't have any motorcycles, we can't package them together with our work. So for example, when we're exporting cars, we can go to the registration office with 30 cars and do it all in one trip. But with a bike, you have to go to the city office, which is a different place, and you have to go there twice for some reason. And we would only have one bike to go do that with, and so that doesn't make an awful lot of sense for us. And a lot of people are like, what, I'm buying a bike, why is it as expensive as a car to export? It's actually quite a bit more work. Okay, looking through for some questions for you guys.
Bill Courtney had one. He wants to know what's the current state of the accidental purchase RX-8.
That is a good question. Okay, so for those of you who are not complete nerds and watch all my videos, we bought an RX-8 that has a full veil side body kit on it, and it is so modified that the shop can't work on it. And if you watch my old video, you would understand the reference there. This car, we sent it back to auction to go resell it, and then nobody wanted to buy it for even like half the price that we paid. And so at that time, a friend of mine said, do you want to go racing? And I said, yes, I got an RX-8, and so let's take it to the track. And it's I think it's a pretty cool video of us racing our RX-8 on the track. The bumper is destroyed, sadly. So we need to get a new veil side bumper. Actually, we're not going to. And so the question is, what's going to happen with it? And basically nothing's been happening with it because I've been kind of undecided on what I want to do with it. And so for one, I need to have a little bit of spare time to actually do something with it, unless I want to send it back to auction and then lose $2,000 off of it, and I really don't want to do that. And so my kind of small plan for right now, and I'm not sure if this is going to pan out because I also have a Honda City to work on, is I wanted to take that car and of course replace the front and rear bumper, which are both cracked, with just stock ones. And it has 19-inch wheels on it that are very flashy, but what I want to do is paint those wheels black and orange, kind of like pumpkin style, and then put some orange decals on the car, and then see if it attracts more attention at auction, and then use this as kind of like a way to make a video about it so that we can have some interesting content to see if we can in fact make simple modifications to a car to make it sell for more at auction. Because the RX-8 is kind of an undesirable car at auction because Japan has tons of them and the worldwide market for them is basically nothing. And so having one that looks like every other RX-8 that's on the auction really doesn't allow this one to stand out that much. And so we'll see about that. Okay, what do you think about the Toyota Altezza from Zach Bryan? That's a good question. Actually, as part of the interview, I had a quiz, and this is kind of interesting. One of the guys, I said, can you please name me 5 chassis codes for vehicles? And you expect the regular ones like Skyline and Supra and Hachiroku or 86. And he said the chassis code for the Altezza. And so without looking, anyone in the chat, see if you can tell me what the chassis code for the Altezza is, because it's not a popular enough car that people generally know the chassis code for it. And so I was very shocked to hear that from that person. And maybe he's actually watching this in a replay, and then he can tell me in the comments, that was me!
Nippon Imports has a question.
Yep.
Does Derek use hair gel or hairspray for that perfect boy band look?
About the perfect boy band look, that's only relevant to people who stepped out of watching Society for the last 20 years. If you'll notice, this is 98 Degrees or NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. Actually, Backstreet Boys was before the spiky hair. And so, yeah, I kind of picked a hairstyle in high school and then stuck with it. And the only reason that I get the soft, flowing hair like I had in the previous video is because my wife is too busy to cut my hair. And I usually, like, I've gone to salons here, but I don't really like the experience of going to a salon here because Japanese hair, I think, is quite different from non-Japanese hair, and they always try to thin my hair, and my hair is already very thin as it is, and I don't know. I feel uncomfortable sitting in a chair making small talk with people as well, people that I don't know that well, and I think if I found a good hairdresser, then I would go with one. My wife is usually pretty good at cutting hair, but it depends on how angry she is with me, so I do have to be careful. When I was little, my mom cut my ear with scissors when she was cutting my hair, and it was so bad I had to go to the hospital to get it stitched up. And now I have like this paranoid fear of getting my ear cut by somebody who's cutting my hair. And yesterday when my wife was cutting my hair, she was cutting around the ears, and I was going like this, like, don't cut my ear. And she got angry with me. She said, I never cut your ear, you have to get over that. And so, you know, it's one of those hang-ups for me. Meme Dude says, I've seen you at Cars and Coffee before, small world. Maybe he's talking about somebody in the chat.
He's talking to Nippon Imports.
I have never been to Cars and Coffee. That was a thing, like, I moved away before that became a thing. Oh, I got somebody picking a car, so let's talk about that one. It's a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 7 from J. Paradisi. Paradise? I don't know. I think I know who this is, but maybe mispronouncing the name on purpose. What do you got for me here? 4078. Okay, and in case you don't know, you can log into our site, auction.pacificcoastjdm.com. And where's the Lancer? Lancer, here it is. Okay, so the GSR version is kind of the standard Evolution version. The RS is the lightweight one. This has full stock, except for the wheels, by the looks of it, and exhaust. Still has the plates on it, which is kind of cool. That usually means that the condition is a bit better and the price is a bit higher, but not by much. Okay, so this is a little bit weird here. We have an auction grade 3.5 on the interior C and an exterior C. So according to the auction, it hasn't been in an accident, but it does have some damage to it, which to me makes it seem like it's been in an accident. And so it's always good to make sure that you get this fully read, and this is one of the reasons why you want to buy from us instead of the bad guys, because there are a lot of companies that don't read you the auction sheets. And even if it is a stock vehicle from that company, they should still have an auction sheet and should still be able to present that to you. So here it says left and right rear. I can't read this part. Oh, I'm sorry. Left and right rear frame edge part and back panel are bent. And so that happens from being bumped in the bum by another car. And so I think this should have been an R grade, but because it wasn't repaired and it was just a small bump, and like there was no repairs done to this, so all the panels you would want to watch out to make sure that they are straight, and I would personally not want this car for my company, especially for a stock vehicle. And what you'll typically find is these types of cars with damage that makes me not want to buy the cars are commonly the cars that are bought by other export companies and sold as if there's no problem with them. And so you do have to be careful. You can look in the history by clicking here, and you can often find other exporters auction stock in the past sales, and in some cases you can even see how much it's sold for to see what their markup is. Okay, so body looks to be okay. I don't like that. There's some surface rust and some paint on the underside. One time I had a car that was painted on the underside. It had a giant corrosion hole in the underside underneath some aluminum tape and some paint. So whenever I see painted on the underside, it always makes me scared. Aftermarket door mirrors, suspension, aftermarket steering wheel, and with no horn button. And so for some places you'll need to replace the horn button before you can get registration. Seat is saggy, 121,050 kilometers. Aftermarket tail lights you can see on the picture. It has the same wheels on it. No. Yes, they are. Okay, the same wheels on it as I had on my Legacy, except mine were gold. It's a Graham Lights 57C, I think. And then various aftermarket parts it says here, so check the vehicle yourself for details. 3 extra gauges inside the interior. Do you get a picture of that? Ooh, 4 extra gauges at least. And the Evo 7, oh, I don't like the steering wheel. Oh. I think you need 3 spokes and a steering wheel, otherwise your steering wheel will be too floppy and look stupid. It's kind of cool in a stupid way though, which maybe I do like it now. Okay, so Evo 7s are awesome cars, fantastic. The only thing you have to watch out for is rust on these, really. Engine-wise, they're fairly reliable. Paint tends to fade faster than most other cars for some reason on Evos. Headlights fade as well, but generally they're a pretty safe buy. They're going to be popular forever and ever, so if you buy one and then you go to resell it, you don't lose a lot of your value, and so that's a nice big plus. And in terms of prices on this one, I'd say probably about 850,000 yen, or about 8,000 US dollars. Okay, someone says, man, I love this is why I love Pacific Coast Auto. There I am patting myself on the back. Do you get Canadian Tire to do don't get Canadian Tire to do an inspection, says Elas R. Canadian Tire is kind of like Pep Boys in the USA. They're a store that sells a lot of things, and they have a mechanic that can do the out-of-province inspection that you need in order to get registration in Canada. But generally speaking, Canadian Tire has high turnover because of low salaries, and they don't treat their, they're a national company, and so they have strict policies on their staffing, and that leads to people that generally don't know as much as other shops do. That said, there are going to be some awesome people that do work at Canadian Tire, but I don't know, like, to me, paying people an amount that they can be happy with is more important than paying the smallest price and saving that money. And that's why we don't pay minimum wage here, even though I'm sure a lot of people, and you can tell me in the chat if this is true, a lot of people wouldn't mind working here for minimum wage. Okay, horn button plus aftermarket wheel equals PITA. That's pain in the asphalt by Bill Courtney. I don't know why that would be a pain. Maybe finding a horn button that would fit it? I don't know. I think it would be a standard size though for the inner caps. Like there may be a handful of different sizes. tried driving a Land Rover Defender with the horn on the steering column stock. Yes, not only the Defender, but also the Mini. The original Mini has the horn on the end of the stock, which is a little bit weird. There's another car that's like that too that I just reported on. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, it's weird to have the horn on the side, especially when you're in a situation where you're driving and then someone does something that makes you need to touch the horn and you go and punch your steering wheel and nothing happens. You don't get that nice release of endorphins that you get from honking at somebody. Okay, so a bit of a longer question here. Marcos JDM. What do you think about the R33 non-GTR, an average price this month and year? 4-door is a dream, but in GTR version, I think it'll be easier to get 2-door GTR, but above 20 grand for 3.0 rating and above, sure. Okay, a couple of questions in here. The R33 was my first car in Japan, so I have a soft spot for it. I think that the engine, the RB25, is fantastic. I think that the chassis is reasonable, and I think that they're good-looking cars. I had a 4-door, and I think the 4-door is hideously ugly. But I had the one that I had was an Impulse version, which has kind of like it's called the R. Let's see if we can look it up. We can probably find pictures of my car on the internet. So it's called the R33R, and so it does look a little bit different from the standard one. It has different covers on the taillights, and the taillights are part of the reason why the 4-door doesn't look cool. It also has this shroud here, different bumper. It has sort of wide body type arches on the back here, and then side skirt, and then the front bumper is very 90s looking front bumper. And I'm going to find my old Skyline. I have found it in the past. This one looks very similar. These are the original wheels, but I don't think this one's my car. And so it comes with like 300 horsepower for this version of it, up from the standard 250. And it has exhaust and grille and suspension and 17-inch wheels, and it is pretty cool. Only 250 of them made. Oh, this is making me sad that I can't find any of my car on here. It was this color, and this one's not mine. And then you get this cool little badge, a numbered plaque inside. Yeah. It looks like there's way more pictures online of this car now than when I owned it like 10 years ago. And maybe that's why my pictures have been buried, because they're too old. Like me. Okay, well, I'm going to give up. And so, no. But here's a good picture of what it looks like. Kind of stupid looking, but also kind of awesome at the same time. R33R, and I love it. This person also mentioned the 4-door GTR. Of the modern GTRs, the R33 is the only one you can get as a 4-door GTR. And it is made by Autech, and they only made like 200 of them or something like that. And they're really awesome, and they're rare, and they're collectible, and they're still kind of stupid looking, but they have widened fenders in the back and then the GTR face on the front. Let's see if I can find that. R33 GTR 4-door. So kind of weird looking, but still cool. I would really like to have this. This one here has the 400R front bumper. Or no, it's not. It's close. It's Nismo front bumper with aftermarket lip on it. And Nismo wheels, or Nismo wheels as it's pronounced here. But this is a 4-door version. That looks good. That looks really good for a 4-door. I like it. Okay, and then prices. I don't know. I don't watch the non-GTRs. For the R33, you're probably looking at between like 400,000 and 700,000 right now. So generally pretty cheap as far as non-turbo, or I'm sorry, not non-turbo, non-GTR versions of the Skyline goes. And prices will go up as soon as they're legal for the US. They are later this year. We talked about that on the last stream. R33 prices are inflated right now. Yes, I got my Impulse, my sweet Impulse version for only 271,000 yen. And back then, that was expensive for an R33 because they were usually selling for 200,000 yen or 150, because that was a time where there was much hate for the R33. And so nowadays the R33 is going up in price because drifting and because people realize it's not a bad car. It's actually really sweet. Oh, ooh, here's somebody who sent one in. It just refreshed and I lost it. But it was a, it was a 22B. Message was deleted. Akagi White Comet keeps deleting messages.
He said something racist, so he got put in timeout.
Oh. Okay, so if you are Akagi White Comet, I appreciate your comments, but please keep it non-racist. I love Derek's mom swears. Oh, yeah, I usually do the SHIT word changed to poopy. I think that's what he's referring to as a mom swear.
Asphalt.
Oh. Yeah, don't want YouTube to come down with the banhammer on me. Have you exported a Mazda Lantis before? See if you can find that 22B and get me the auction number for that. Or maybe I can do it. Here, that'll be easier for me to do. And so the easiest way, what am I doing? Advanced search. Okay. And then I'm going to do Subaru. And this is going to show you guys how to do it if you haven't done it before. Impreza. And because we're looking for the 22B, and it's the only Impreza with an over 2-liter engine, we're going to go to the engine size here, and we're going to go 2100. The only GC8, I should say. Here it is, and it is at JAA, so we can show it to you. Alright, so if you don't know about this car, prepare to have your mind blown. And so a typical Subaru Impreza costs around, for version 6, I think this is based off of the version 5. So for a regular version 5 Subaru, you're looking to spend about $8,000 to $10,000 for one in reasonable condition. These ones cost $50,000 to, in some cases, $80,000. And so why is this Impreza way more expensive than the other ones? For the most part, it's the really good looks. Notice it has a super wide body on it. But it also has a very special 2.2-liter version of the EJ20 engine that technically puts out 280 horsepower, but they were just joking. It's actually more power than that because the regular version 5 was 280 horsepower, and if you have a 2.2 instead of a 2-liter, you'll get some more horsepower out of that. And so this gentleman's agreement, by the end of the 90s and early 2000s, people just nobody was really listening to that. And so they were like, yep, it's got 280 horsepower and it's really got 350. And so this is going to be the fastest stock Impreza that you can get at the time. Widened. I think it has different suspension arms so that it's actually wider. And the body kit, I think, is a replica of the one that they were using at the time during Raleigh. And these are the stock wheels. They're made by Oz, BBS. BBS wheels are stock on this, or Oz wheels. They look like BBS for sure. And then this bumper is the 22B, and then these ducts, and you'll see these, like this bumper and these ducts on other non-22Bs. This spoiler is exclusive to the 22B as well, and I believe it's adjustable. If I'm wrong about any of this, then let me know. It's all off the top of my head. There's no Googling allowed on these live streams. So 24,904 kilometers on this with no damage to the body, and in grade 4AB, we may see the most expensive ever 22B with this one, because that mileage is really low. I've seen one sell for 8 million yen, so like $70,000 with 180,000 kilometers on it. And so this one could very well reach $100,000, which is insane to me for a car that's basically an economy car that turned into a hot car that turned into a cool rally legend, and then they made a special version of it. It's still an economy car at the very bottom, and that's a lot of money. But the prices seem to be going up, and so it's still kind of an investment grade vehicle. People can buy this and they can keep it in their shop and they can drive it every once in a while, and you'll be the cool guy with the 22B. And then you go to sell it later and you sell it for 100,000, or roughly about the same as you bought it, if not more. I think they only made 250 of them, and that's why they're so valuable, or so, that rare vehicles that are sought after will skyrocket. Oh, here it says 400. I'm wrong about it. Yeah, 400 made. Apparently this is number 178. Okay, so yeah, good pick there. Bill Courtney said he needed to wire 2 different horn buttons. How far up am I in the chat here? Hello from Brazil, from Hector. I am waiting for the R32 GTR to get 30 years old for his national rule. Still have an 89 GTR R32 on the Japan or the North Americans, taking them all. R32s are a weird one because R32s spiked big time because of the US. And then after they did that, there were a lot of people saying that when the US gets tired of them, they're going to crash in value, or when the US gets more ability to buy them, they're going to crash in value. But instead, what we saw is other countries accepting the higher rate of them. And in Japan, they're up in price and people are still buying them. And in lots of Europe and in Canada, we just sold one to Canada at the inflated price. That's the price for those cars now. And it's such an awesome car. It is a... time to get flamed. It's a better car than the 22B. I haven't driven the 22B, and I've driven lots of Imprezas and lots of Skyline GTRs. Comparing those 2 cars, it's the GTR is a hefty amount better car, but I still really, really like the Impreza, so don't hate on me that much. 22B, I don't know. I'll save until I have a chance to drive one. But I don't know if I'd be able to drive a 22B happily in the same way that I could a GTR, because I would be so worried while driving one that the anxiety would not allow me to enjoy it. I did not know that Brazil has a 30-year rule. Thank you for letting me know that. We've never sent a car to Brazil before. And so maybe when the R32 becomes popular there, or becomes legal there, pardon me, we'll be able to sell a few cars there. So Hector, maybe you can be our first client to Brazil. And then I will give you a virtual high five. Message deleted. Oh, that's
our
the same
racist
person.
has at least 5 accounts I've banned so far.
How do you know it's the same person?
Because he keeps saying racist things, and he bragged about having multiple accounts.
Well, even if it's not the same person, you can have racist comments in other videos. We're pretty strict about that sort of thing, and if you don't like that, then I'm sorry. Autek version, man, somebody says. I don't know in what reference that is. Okay, there's a local guy with an R33 Impal. He's having a hard time selling it for some reason, probably because specialty cars are hard to convince people of the higher value. That's the problem I had with that car.
And if he has it in the U.S., it's not legal yet.
If he has it in the U.S., it's not legal?
They don't say where the guy has the car. But if he's trying to sell an R33, it's probably pretty hard to sell one in the U.S. right now.
Yeah, if you're in the U.S. and you don't know about the 25-year rule and you see cars like an S15 or an R33 GTR in the States, be very cautious of it, because the seller is going to get really mad when you tell him that it's not legal there, and he'll say, no, it's officially licensed and titled and everything, but that doesn't mean that it's legal. And if you buy a car that's not legal in the States, it can be taken away from you. And you may even be punished for owning illegal goods, too. And so just don't... I think that a lot of people feel that it's really unfair that the U.S. has this 25-year rule, and it really is a stupid rule, in my opinion. But despite that, you don't... Well, I guess this is a little bit difficult to explain, because I know that not everyone agrees with me, but just don't do dishonest things and lead a life that is going to be happy and that you can be happy about. If you make money or you own goods that are special and it's because you lied or cheated or stole, I don't think that really allows you to be as cool or to really accept those things. And that's the way that I live.
Traxnata says, it's state legal, bruh.
Yeah. Truxnata my friend, yeah. Flavian, and so we're going to ignore him. Go and ban him.
You put it in quotes.
No, I'm just joking. Don't ban him. I'm hoping that he helps me out with an RX-7. That I have stuck in another city right now. Hi Derek, Subaru or Mitsubishi? I like them both. I think between the Lancer and the Impreza, I would pick a Lancer because they're faster cars. But I do really like the Imprezas. I think a lot of people, when it comes to 2 cars, if you pick one, they think that you're thinking the other one is bad. And I think there are a lot of people who do that too. Like, are you a Nintendo person or are you a Sega person? You can't be both. I don't understand that. And so I'll be both, and the Imprezas, I'll say, is maybe 2 or 3% down on that, which isn't much in the car world. Okay.
Actually, there was a good question.
Free Traxonata.
Somebody wanted to know what's the deal with importing USDM cars that were brought over to Japan that are under 25 years old.
Yes, if a car was sold originally on the market in the USA and then that car was moved to Japan and then was sold here and then you buy the car, you can send it back to the USA. We've done that before with an Acura NSX in the past. And have we ever done it with anything else?
That's the only one as far
We
as
had
I know.
somebody looking for a Hummer, but in Japan, Hummers cost more than they do in the States anyway. So, yeah, it's possible for you to do that. Pretty easy. The only thing is it needs to have the sticker in the doorway, the original NHTSA sticker, NHTSA.
And the FMVSS.
And the FMVSS, which
Both
is...
stickers. Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards.
Okay,
Both those have to
so
be in it.
there's no reason for them to take those stickers out, but you do have to be very careful because there are a lot of vehicles that, depending on the exchange rates, would have been brought in from Canada to Japan, and those ones you can't send to the USA. So you do have to be very careful that, for one, make sure that the car's in miles, not kilometers, and generally you should be okay after that, but if you do buy a car and it doesn't have the stickers on, then you have to resell it, and you have to be willing to take on that risk. Okay. Oh, Trexnada says he'll be back with other accounts, bro.
I didn't ban him.
If you do, though, he'll be back with other accounts. I wonder if people just do this regularly. Like, that's the way that they have fun, is they sign up multiple accounts intending to get banned so that they can continue with their other accounts.
I'll show them.
That's weird. Well, I have like 4 accounts tied to my personal account. I wonder if you can do that, or if the top account, if you get banned under the top account, because like Pacific Coast Auto, the YouTube channel, is underneath the Derek Weldon YouTube channel bracket. So if Pacific Coast Auto gets banned, does that mean Derek's banned too? Do I have to sign on as my wife?
You can't ban yourself.
Oh, I mean, if I were in another chat. I mean, this is kind of a stupid question for me to be asking because I don't intend to go and do anything that causes me to be banned. The only site I've ever been banned from, there's only one, and I was banned for a reason that is completely ridiculous. For winning a lawsuit against an accusation from this person. Basically, you won a lawsuit and you've proven yourself. Oh, you're banned, so you can't tell your side of the story. And then we had other people explain, like, upload the same documents, and those documents got removed, and those people got banned too. So it was somebody with a hurt ego. Hello, this is my first time watching one of these lives. That's cool. This is my 3rd time doing a live one, and so we're still kind of getting used to the format. I see a lot of people asking questions and not many people sending in cars to look at, and so if we could get some more cars, that would be sweet.
They're kind of getting lost in the shuffle.
Oh, are they?
Here you go. JU Hokkaido 6016. S15 wide body V8 twin turbo.
That sounds pretty rad. What was the number again?
6016.
JU Hokkaido. Oh, yeah, I've seen this one on plenty of Facebook pages. Apparently it's been at auction for a while, maybe? Let's have a look. Okay, so the first week it was at auction, it was unsold with a high bid of 2.4 mil, and so that's about 22,000 US dollars. And then it looks like it got no bids for the following 2 weeks that it's been at auction. I think 2.2 seems expensive, but if you're looking for a pre-made car like this, it may not be that bad of a price. Something like this looks expensive to build. And so it's an S15, which is the adorable, lovable car from Japan that the US never got. And that's too bad. The US got the S13 and the S14, but never the S15, because the S15 didn't make any money and exchange rates made them unprofitable at the time. This one has plenty. Ooh! Stance Nation 2015 best car. 2015 Stance Nation best car S15.
We exported a Stance Nation car before.
Oh yeah, Andrew just reminded me that we exported a winning car from Stance Nation before as well. There you go. All you need to win Stance Nation is the what is this? What company makes this body kit again? It's 6666.
I don't know.
Oh, You know what's weird? I talk about this all the time, and I never have my brain skip on this. And so the one time that I'm live, for some reason, my brain doesn't come up on that. Rocket Bunny, there we go. Yeah, so put a Rocket Bunny kit on your car in Wind Stance Nation. That's kind of, I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but it doesn't look like there's anything super amazing on this other than the looks of the car, the fitment, and the body kit. But maybe that's how you win Stance Nation. To me, if you want to win an event like that, it should be something unique and something that you really have to be overly creative in order to win. If you think of it kind of like a music, if there's an artist that doesn't bring anything new to the table, that person isn't going to win any awards. Usually, the cutting edge is where you want to see the awards go to. And I think even in 2015, a Rocket Bunny body kit was not that impressive. I guess to the general population it would, but not in like the car show kind of thing. The car show section needs, custom built stuff, kind of a car you wouldn't expect to be modified, and have them modify that, or, Honda City Turbo with 20-inch wheels on it would look incredibly stupid, but to me that would be a harder build than this. Okay, so Stance Magazine, 2015 cover car, engine swap to a 1UZ. That one is the 4-liter V8 from like the Celsior and stuff like that, LS400. And it says it has 550 horsepower, and so they wouldn't have been able to get that out of the engine without turboing it, so it's probably a twin turbo setup. 350Z transmission, 6-speed. Kind of cool. I just lowered my seat. Kind of cool that they use a Nissan transmission. I've heard that that's becoming a popular transmission as the Toyota transmissions are all running out. Rocket Bunny body kit, HKS V Pro. What is this? I'm just reading what you guys can read, so I'm going to stop doing that. No heater race car! Yeah, I'm sure this is a race car. I would like to see this race car on a racetrack and get destroyed by a Toyota Starlet. Okay, power steering doesn't work. That's going to be a problem when you're running tires as wide as that. High beams have been removed. What does this say? Back lamps removed. It's kind of a weird thing to do. Signals on the rear only. Okay, so basically you can't drive this car on the street anymore. Lots of modifications, so see in person for details. Plenty, what is this? The engine lamp is on and other lamps are on. Tire size on the front is a 255 35 ZR18, and on the rear is a 285 30 ZR18. I do wonder about people, I know this person wasn't going for actual performance, but I do wonder about people who put a 255 on the front of a car, because a 255 is a super wide tire on the front, and in most cases a tire that wide on the front isn't going to give you any actual performance benefit. Even on the rear, it's like a 285 on the rear of this is closing in on Corvette tire width, and for the most part running a sticky narrower tire can get you better suspension to run on the track, because grip isn't going to be your biggest problem. Also, here's the interesting thing about the wide tires is when you widen the tire, your contact patch stays the same. It just changes size because the contact patch relies on the weight of the car and the PSI in the tires. And so your contact patch goes from this to this with a wider tire, which means that it's becoming narrower, which makes it actually easier to spin. And you can watch YouTube videos on that if you want. It's very interesting because it's very counterintuitive. People think that a wider tire means more grip, and it does when you go around a tire. Can't speak. When you go around a corner, your contact patch will change. This is straight, and then it will widen on the area that's pushing down. Okay, cool car. I think it's going to go unsold for a long time. I think that most people who have a car that's this flashy, they're getting into the build it, don't buy it kind of, you won't get respected as much if you buy somebody else's build as much as you would as if you commissioned it yourself. And so there would be some hate on this car, and people like to hate on high dollar cars a lot. And so I think to people who have been in the industry for long enough, they will kind of be wary of buying a car that is this heavily modified, because you really need to make it your own car before you get the congratulations from owning a cool car. Derek has Sapito. Andrew, what's Sapito?
I don't know.
I hope I didn't just swear. in like Spanish or something. My Toyota Celica has AC delete because it's JDM. I don't know about that. Maybe Toyota in Japan you can do AC delete. If it's like a WRC version, then I can see that. That is cool if it came factory with AC delete, but not when it's super hot out. Hopefully you live in Canada where it doesn't get too hot. I mean, it does in Canada. I come from there. Of course, I know what it's like. It doesn't get hot like Japan does, though. You wouldn't be able to survive in Japan without AC for very long. You would melt into your seat. Okay, what do we got? 205s all around. Let's go. That's probably in reference to tire size. My Golf has 225s on it. That seems a little bit wide to me. European vehicles are cheaper in Japan, asked by Garrett Tomlinson. I think for the most part, yes. It depends on which car it is, and you can't just take all European cars and then say that they're the same. But for the most part, most Euro cars, especially sought-after ones like M3, M5, or AMG models, are generally cheaper in Japan and in better condition than in Europe, and much lower mileage because those kind of cars are rarely driven here, whereas in Europe they would be a commuter car possibly. Okay, Vic Canis sent in an S2000. Let's have a look. 5012. S2000. Is this the right one? Okay, it just looks like a plain S2000. Looks good in white though. I like it white with the dark wheels. It looks like it has a it has a lip on the front. I don't quite like it that much. I know a lot of people would, but it's not really my style. Yeah, S2000s are awesome cars. Recently we've been getting a lot of people asking me what I think about S2000s. I think that people are getting more interested in these. When they were new cars, they were interesting, but they got not a lot of hate. I think Honda people didn't accept it because it wasn't what Honda people really like, which is front wheel drive, super lightweight, super easy to modify. And the S2000 is already very highly modified state with rear wheel drive, and a lot of people who, you know, there's these people that like rear wheel drive. Everyone out there says rear wheel drive cars, you got to get those, and if you don't, you're not a car person. And then people who drive Civics, which are awesome cars, they think, I drive an awesome car, my car is fast and it beats other people on a race track, and it doesn't have to be rear wheel drive. And so there seems to be some sort of like a fight between the front wheel drive people and the rear wheel drive people. And I think that at the beginning of this car's life, there were a lot of, I see you laughing about it. You want to say something?
Elias says, that's a weird looking MR2.
Yeah. There's an old video that was posted 4 years ago, and I called an S2000 an MR2, and so props to this person for really knowing that. Trexnata said S2000s are really torqueless, not easy to keep up in the power band here with a stock one. That's a good thing to mention. I've never driven one, so I don't know that. So torqueless cars can be super fast on the racetrack, but tend to not feel as fast as they actually are. I was definitely feeling that when I went into the mountains with my R32 and the Corolla TRD that we had, because the Corolla TRD only makes power in like 1,000 RPM right next to redline, whereas the R32, not a Skyline R32, a Golf R32, makes all of its power from like 2,200 to 4,000 RPM and then gets tired at the end. And so the Corolla was in many ways faster than the R32, or probably could be a faster car. I think in that case the R32 was faster, but I think the Corolla was easier to drive and so could be faster for a typical person. Not like me. I have a racing helmet and racing gloves. I know how to race. It's not true at all. S2000 is Sapito. Are we making our own words here?
Nope, that's a word.
What does Sapito mean?
Can't say it.
Okay, apparently I'm swearing in what language at least?
Well, in Spanish it means a sore or an ulcer, but the Urban Dictionary has a far different meaning.
Okay.
Let's go on to the next
thank you, my Spanish people. Okay.
90002. It's a Mazda Familia GTX 4-wheel drive.
Familiar. Wow. Good find on this one. Okay, cool.
That was found by Trump 2024.
Trump 2024 coming through with the win.
Let's
Maybe.
That would be 3 elections in a row. That's unconstitutional.
I think that's part of the joke of the name.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, so for those people who don't know this car, because it is a rather obscure one, I know Trucksnada knows about this one, because he knows everything about cars. Don't you? Don't you know everything about cars? It makes me mad, because I want to be the guy that knows everything about cars. Actually, I don't. I'm just joking. I definitely don't want to be the know-it-all with cars. One doesn't have enough time in their lifetime to know everything about every car. Anyways, this is in the U.S. known as the 323, Mazda 323, and it's just a regular economy car. But this was Mazda's Group A rally car, and so this one is a turbocharged 4-wheel drive version of the Familia with a 1800 and 2-liter. I think you can get both engines. I might be wrong. Trucksnada, tell me. The 1800cc is the bigger of the two Miata engines for the first generation Miata, and for those people who know Miatas, they know that engine handles modifications extremely well for an 1800cc 4-cylinder. And so this vehicle, fantastic idea, having the 4-wheel drive with the turbocharger and generally good reliability, and I don't think it did very well in rallying, otherwise we would have really known about it more than we do now. There's 2 different versions of it. There's the GTX and the GTR, and the GTX is the street version. The GTR had more horsepower, but the GTX is actually a faster car, which is really weird to think. The GTR has a bigger turbo on it, and in street tune it had, I think, like just slightly more horsepower, maybe 10 or 20 more horsepower than this one, but because of the bigger turbo, it took longer to spool, and so this one would be the faster version of the car. And then the GTR was the homologation version, and so in actual race prep, then it would be quite a bit faster because you would be able to get more power out of that bigger turbo. It's a cool looking car. Usually they come with a hood with hood vents on them, and they look really weird. I'm going to see if I can find that Familia GTX GTR. So here's what I'm talking about. And so this bumper here is the stock one. Ooh, good resolution in this picture. And these ones here aren't stock, but these 3 in the front are stock. And so it is really weird, especially in the USA, to have a car that people generally know about, but one that, you know, one that is going to be a little bit shocking in how fast it is. And then it's also one of those cars, much like the 86, like the AE86 was 15 years ago when we had one, is a lot of people don't know how cool it is, but the people who know how cool it is definitely know and have extra appreciation for you because of that. Okay, we're looking at auction sheet here. Oh, this is a no claim. So there's no inspection on this one. You have to buy it as is, and we generally don't buy cars like this unless it's a customer that we work with for a long time. It has 210,000 kilometers. It might be a good one if somebody can actually go to the auction and see it and see what's wrong with it and possibly what the dents and stuff are on the body. Generally speaking, these cars take a lot of damage over the years. A Skyline GTR very often is kept in really good condition, and when it gets hit, it gets repaired, like dents get repaired, new paint and stuff. But a car like this just isn't worth enough to repair in many cases, and so they just turn into really poor condition cars over time. Looking at the pictures, it doesn't look bad though. It's a cool car, and this certainly fits into like my kind of car. It's something a little bit quirky and weird that other people aren't going to appreciate, because I don't want people to think I'm cool because of the car that I own. I want to have a car that I like to drive because I like driving cars. Okay, Trucksnada says the boost threshold is super high and makes it a bit hard to drive on mountain roads if too tight. I think he has experience driving them too. I'm pretty sure. You can check out his channel for that kind of stuff. Why LS swap into another LS Corvette? Probably chatting with somebody else about that. Are Toyota Trunos still hard to find and import in 2018? The answer is no, but you have to have really deep pockets. 8.6s are really common at auction. They're very easy to find, but you have to be super rich to buy them. And so if you want a good one, like, let's go back to one of the ones I looked at before. Not that one. Okay, so to get an 8.6 that's in the same condition as this is 2000, like 79,000 kilometers, generally good body, basically no severe damage, AC doesn't work. To get an 8.6 that's in this condition, it's kind of like the top 1 or 2%, and then that's going to really cost you. A car like that would be over 2 million yen or 18,000 US dollars or so. And so I think most people in many countries, the cars aren't like the 8.6 is worth less in your country than it is in Japan. And worldwide, this is a car that's very interesting, but we don't sell too many of them because for the most part, people who want that car don't want to spend as much as it's worth. And it's oftentimes, if you get one that's like $8,000, it's not going to be a nice car. And it's not going to be something you can be proud about, and it's going to take a lot of work to get it going. And there are a lot of parts available for it, but part prices are going up as dashboards are cracking and consoles are breaking and door handles are breaking and lights are, like, the parts on the market are all going away. And so how often do you find Minica Dangan ZZ come up for auction? The Dangan ZZ is a super rad car. They are K car. They are, I think, 4-wheel drive, 660cc turbocharged, 64 horsepower, and they just have one of the coolest names ever. They don't come up for auction that often, though. One that's in reasonable condition is maybe once every 3 months or so. I don't watch them that well, so I don't know for sure, but that seems about right to me. SR swapped RX-7. I don't have a comment about that, but I do have a comment. I found an SR20 swapped Porsche 911 at auction not too long ago when I was actually there at auction. I was like walking past it, and then there was like a drop style front hood, which is weird on a 911 anyway because there's nothing to cool in the front, air-cooled engine in the back, right? And there was a radiator in there, and I was like, radiator in a car that never came with a radiator. What's in this? And so opened up the back hatch, and there was an intercooler, like 2 intercoolers, kind of fused together, customized, and it was huge. The intercooler was like the size of like 10 Bibles all stacked together. It was really big compared to any other intercooler. And then I looked underneath, and it's a 4-cylinder transverse mounted, and then I can see the transmission, and it has like custom welds on it in order to get that transmission to work with that engine. And it turns out it had like an NSX transmission running an SR20 with a giant turbo on it, and weird in a 911. Super weird. So you can find the weirdest things here in Japan, where in general you can do whatever modifications you want to a car and still register it for the road as long as it fits within their basic things, like tires can't stick out past the fenders, rear wing can't stick out past the fenders. Meme Dude says, I saw an air-cooled Porsche with CPU case fans on it to cool it. I guess why not, right? CPU case fans are probably cheaper than automotive grade ones. You want to make sure that they don't melt, though. Hi guys, have any DSM cars? DSM cars weren't sold in Japan. DSM cars are the Eclipse and the Eagle Talon. And basically we got the Evo here instead of those. I know they're not exactly the same, but they both use 4G63 and they're both 4-wheel drives. But the DSM cars were kind of half American made because it's the D in DSM is Daimler, and so it's a Mitsubishi American kind of car. You see them here as imports every once in a while, especially I think after Fast and the Furious. Cool cars. I think that they were commonly owned by how can I say this in a way that doesn't offend people? I'm trying to be not offensive here. Kind of owned by losers for a long time and have gotten a reputation. Losers as in people who run like 20 pounds boost over their car without any other modifications so that they can win street races.
A boy racer.
Boy racer, okay.
That's the British term.
Boy racer. What's the American term for that? For boy racer. Someone tell me in the chat. Some like people who don't really know enough about cars but love modified cars. Derek, you should do a crossover with Nori Yaro. Okay, he's talking about the YouTube channel Nori Yaro. The guy's name is Alexi, and he's been here in Japan. He's way above my level though, and so I don't think that we're going to get any collabs because there wouldn't be much in it for him. His channel, I think, is undervalued for the content that he produces, meaning he doesn't have as many subs as a channel that produces that good of content should have. And so if you're looking for a good JDM channel, go to Noriyaro, type it in, and then hit subscribe, and you won't be sad. He actually has a second channel too, which is equally as good. And so go check that out. And if Noriyaro came up to me and said, hey, you want to be in a video? I would say yes. And then for the next few weeks until we do the video together, I would be incredibly nervous about being around him because he knows an awful lot about the industry, especially insider information in knowing a lot of people. And like he does announcing for D1, I think, and stuff like that. So he seems like a cool guy though, very down to earth, especially when he does his live chats. I think he's done a live one before. Very fun to listen to.
It's unanimous in chat. A boy racer in the U.S. is a ricer.
Okay, ricer?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, actually, Elliot had a good question. What's better, Roro or container shipping? And with the increase in U.S. buying, how is this affecting Roro slots?
There are a lot of good answers for that. So first off, it depends on which country that you're from. If you're from the US, then Roro is better. And if you're from Canada, then Roro is better. And most countries, Roro is better. But some of them, container can be better, or some of them, container can be the only option. Container can basically go to any port in the world, because you put it in a container and you go. Roro can only go to a very few amount of ports. So for example, in France, they only have one Roro port. And so if you ship a car to France, you have to ship it to the north of France. And you can't ship anything to the south of France unless you go by container.
Oh, you waved the Naoko.
Bye, Naoko. Lunchtime. That said, there may be reasons why you want to take container over Roro. You can fit 4 cars in a container, and you can fit parts in a container, and you can pack it full. And if you're doing that, then it can be more cost effective than Roro. And generally speaking, though, we do almost all of our exports by Roro. We do some by container. And one of the problems with the container is you need to get those 4 cars to get the value for the container. And it can be difficult to get 4 cars unless you're going to be aggressive for your bidding. And if you're too aggressive for your bidding, then you end up paying higher prices for your cars, and so it kind of negates any of the benefits. If you don't buy the cars fast enough, then the cars will wait for a long time, so that means you've invested money in cars you intend to sell, but then you can't sell them for several weeks later, and so that eats out of your profit. And then the question for spaces on Roro, this year seems to be particularly bad with Roro spaces. For the US, we're not really seeing any delay in that, but for Canada we have. And no, for the US, I don't think. Andrew, have you seen too much delay in the US for Roro?
Just for last month for Tacoma.
Okay, so just Tacoma, and that's the same vessel that also takes our Canadian cars, so that's why.
And Long Beach too.
Yeah. Tacoma, Long Beach, and New Westminster in Canada all go on the same vessel. And so that one's backed up. And the reason why it's backed up is because new car manufacturers, the ones that use that port is Nissan and Subaru, and they ask for way too many cars. And the new car manufacturers get all the spots, and used cars got kicked off of 2 vessels in a row. And so, used cars completely got kicked off of one vessel, and then there were just a few spaces on the next vessel. And so there's like a 1-month delay in Roro at the moment. For Canada, you can go with another carrier, Nissan, and then it's more expensive, but you can get there faster because they do 4 times a month instead of once a month. No, once every 2 weeks instead of once a month, I think. You got a good one?
Nippon Imports wants to know, Derek, what's the coolest item in your office right now besides your hair gel?
I don't know what is besides the hair gel. Very funny there. What's the coolest thing in the office? Do you have something? I'll have something. You find something in the office.
This side of the office is boring. There's nothing over here. That's pretty cool. Okay, the plate's covered on it.
Yeah, but you gotta find something too.
Oh, I gotta find something too?
Yeah, this is like a challenge. You have to find
the best
something.
one.
Okay, so this is a picture that we got sent in to us of somebody racing their Evo 6. I think it's a Tommy Mäkinen edition. There we go. And it's like fully ready to put on the wall. And they sent this to us as well, a whole bunch of really awesome pictures as well. And we haven't put it on the wall yet. And really, the only reason we haven't put it on the wall is because if we put one picture on the wall, it'll look a little bit weird. So I really want other things to put on the wall too. And I have in the past asked people to send us stuff or send us like an email with images that we can print out and put onto the wall. And so if there is anyone that wants to decorate our office for us, then please let us know. The only thing I ask is that it's not advertising, because we don't want to put someone else's ads on the inside wall of our office. So if it's something like this, that's super rad. And if you can send in more of that kind of stuff, anyone, then you get my thumbs up. Oh, Andrew has something pretty cool too, and maybe we can show it to you in a future stream.
All right, I'm stealing my chair. This isn't Derek's chair. We're doing this at my desk. My cool thing in the office is a PS2 game that, as far as I know, was only sold in Japan. It's called Lowrider Round the World. Japan has lots of really bizarre games, whether it's like Super Famicom, PS1, PS2, whatever, that were only sold here, and we had a bit of a kick probably like last year, I think, when we started buying game stuff. But you can find these in used game shops for like 200 yen, maybe 500 yen is the max for old PS2 games. We don't have a PS2 in the office right now, but we do have a capture card that we can plug anything into. So I might bring mine in. We may get a good rotation of games for the pre-show. But for now, it's just the GameCube and the Xbox 360 can be hooked up too. But we have other options. All you have at home is a Super Famicom Mini, right? Or the Super NES Mini.
Yeah. Oh no, we have a Nintendo Wii at home too, and
Okay.
then Sarah has a DS and an iPad.
Well, we can't. Well, we could hook the iPad up. We had the right cord.
Yeah,
we have in the office. We've got a Super Famicom, a GameCube, an Xbox 360. Derek has a few things at home. At home, I have everything except for the Saturn, from the PS1 on forward. I have everything. So we have options, but we're trying to keep it more retro focused, I think.
I almost stopped playing games at the Nintendo 64 age, and then here you go.
Oh, you can have my chair back.
Yeah, after N64, I played a little bit of PlayStation 2, Gran Turismo 4, but that's basically it. Also, that game, the Lowrider game, I don't think I've ever played that one, Andrew.
You just said it sucked.
I know, but I thought it was the Bosuzoku game.
But
it's not, is it?
No, because we don't have all the PS2 stuff that we picked up.
There's a game in Japan that I guess we used to have in the office, and it is super cool. If you know what a Bosuzoku car is, there are various different names for it. But it's like a tuning style that's popularized in Japan, and it looks like this basically. And there's a game where you race cars like this, and I suppose there's a way you can modify the cars as well if you want, or maybe they come pre-modified, but it's pretty funny. And that's the game I was referring to that I said is super bad.
Oh wait, I have to answer a question. I'll just say it on audio. Devin asked, did you ever get a Pontiac Fiero? No, but I still love that car. As goofy as it is. My idea, they came out when I was in high school, so yeah, I'm way older than Derek. My idea, because you can remove all the body panels with a cross-tip screwdriver, was to get one of those and get a custom set of clear panels made and put those on the car. Because I thought that would look really cool, but that's what 17-year-old me thought.
That would be... I think it would look worse than you think it would look. Okay, so we're basically at an hour here. How are we doing for stream?
We're an hour and 7.
That's too long. Okay, so we're gonna shut it off here so that you guys don't get burnt out of.
Okay, wait. Nippon Imports. He said it sucked because he's seen it played, but he hasn't played it himself. He has seen the game played, but Derek didn't play it.
Which game?
This one. You said it sucks.
Oh.
You've seen it played. We played it in the
Lowriders.
office, but you didn't actually play it, I don't think.
Oh, I may not have played that. The only racing game that I remember playing is that Bosuzoku one that really sucked, but it's funny. Need for Speed Underground! Yes, I played the first 2 versions of those. Derek hates it when I find Bosuzoku cars, says Nippon Imports. Because you can't ship them. Because look, how are you going to ship this? And a lot of them have these extended spoilers because that's one of their things. And then a lot of them you can't take these off because they're molded right into the body. This one looks like you might be able to. But how are you going to take it off? You have to cut it off and then fix it.
Traxnada says, I'll bring my PS2 Thursday when I'm in Yokohama then. Ha ha.
Don't bring your PS2. This is actually really cool.
I can bring mine if we need
I
one.
love that.
Thank you for the offer, though.
Yeah, don't bring your PS2 because I have other things to do than play games. And the only reason I play games is for a nostalgia hit. And I know it's kind of like taking a hit of cocaine. I shouldn't be doing it, but you just have to. And I'm talking about games. I'm not talking about cocaine, to which I have never experienced. I can imagine. I grew up in the 80s, and so cocaine was in every movie. Okay, sorry, got to cut everyone off. If I didn't answer your questions, then I'm sorry. I can't answer them all, obviously, but keep thinking about it, and then we do this every week. So see you again next week for more questions.
We'll try to get the time up a few hours in advance too. Yeah, the notice of less than an hour.
Right. In case you got on halfway through or something, I had some job interviews to attend to, and they ended up taking a little bit more time. So this one was delayed a little bit, but we're trying to get it up at 11 o'clock Japan time every week on the minute if we can, because I prefer things to be like that. Derek needs to play with his Honda City. Oh, I wish I could. I do have a very big secret about that. It's coming up. Nippon Imports, as he mispronounces it. They know what I'm talking about. And so something cool is coming up in the next little bit in regards to Honda Cities. And so we're going to stop streaming here. Thanks a lot for everybody who came out, and we'll see you again next week.